And that's an interesting thing too. Post career trouble, like you said, knees, back, arm. I mean, come on, it could be anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, these dudes, they're warriors, man. They really are. Like you said, even as much as they're protected, it's a good point. They still go through a lot. It's still not easy for a 41-year-old man to get hit a few times, even, or throw a ball, 50 times a game in some cases, or whatever it might be. The practices. It's more than just Sundays. There's practices. There's training camp. There's preseason. You know what I mean?
And look at the quality of life. I mean, basketball players and football players. I mean,
the post career,
it's vastly different. All of the heroes, basketball heroes that are retired are still
look
great.
Going around. Yeah, I mean, they look like Jordan looks like he could go drop 20.
A lot of the football players look like
50-some years old.
Look like they need to be in a home, and some of them are only 50-something years old.
It's a sad thing. It really is. And I mean, the outside, everything that's happened. I mean, it opens up people's eyes. People look at this. And I think it could inspire these guys to walk away from the game. And I think as fans, we should appreciate that. I know there's going to be some people pissed off about it, but that's just silly to me, man. You got to respect what these guys have done for their teams. I mean, if anybody's upset about anything Drew Brees has ever done, something's wrong with them, and they're not a Saints fan. I'm completely – if Drew walks away, I'm completely good with it. If he stays, I'm completely good with it. And I think the Patriots fans should feel the same way with Brady.
I think the beautiful thing is that he still has the option,
Yeah.
So
the league hasn't outplayed you. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing.
And I think it would be, even though he's not walking away with a ring, he's walking away with most of his health intact.
Yeah, but he's still got a Super Bowl. I mean,
he can give a good press conference. He could still, talk to his kids in a reasonable manner. I mean,
Super Bowl 44 alone, that's movie material.
That's
right there.
not promised if you play the 2020 season.
To me, let's be real. I mean, would you say this, the Saints Super Bowl 44, let's be real. If there's a movie about Saints post-Katrina, that's a perfect ending. Would happen in 2009. The Super Bowl win capped off everything. To me, that's a defining moment, obviously, for Brees. Mm-hmm. To me, I think that's enough. I really do. If he decided to walk away, he can do whatever he wants. He should never pay for a meal in Louisiana ever again. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's a Super Bowl winner, 13-time Pro Bowler. One of the best of his era. And I think
he ultimately has the decision.
Yeah,
I think I think the cards should lead him to retire. And he's going to have one of the greatest careers in NFL history if he retires tomorrow. But we have a question here.
Sure, bring it on.
Miss Lorena wants to know: Is Teddy already out?
I think so, in my opinion. And it's
just
not
the numbers just don't add up.
I don't like to see. There's a lot of fans that get crazy about
whether
this
Brees
situation.
retires or not next year. And I guess you can kick the ball down the road a little bit. You make some interesting financial stuff happen. But even without signing, the Saints still owe Drew Brees $21 million next year.
And that's the way you got to figure out how they work that against the cap. I think there's going to be some ways they could finagle that a little bit. I don't think they're going to get a total hit from it. I think there was somebody talking about that the other day. Loomis can possibly
they can do some creative stuff.
Yeah.
But also, how much money is Teddy going to command on open market?
To me, Teddy, I haven't even read a number. In my head, I've always said anywhere from 15 to 17 million is feasible. To me, for Teddy, I think he could get that from Chicago. I think he can get that from Indianapolis. Remember, we were talking about that before with Indy. I'm not saying it would be my move if I was Indianapolis. I do think he's better than Brissett, but there's a lot of talk with Chicago. There's a lot of talk with Indianapolis, and I root for Teddy, man. I'll say that I will root for Teddy absolutely, except when he plays the Saints. I like Teddy. I think he's a great guy. I just don't. I think Taysom is a guy we're going with. He has a little more upside. I think Taysom's going to be less expensive. So I think that, to me, look, Taysom Hill, possibly another veteran quarterback, and maybe they take a flyer on a quarterback in the third or fourth round. Maybe if they really like Jordan Love out of Utah State, if Peyton's in love with him, in love with Love, maybe they go that route. And Taysom still gets this year no matter what to prove what he can do.
But things I'm hearing are that Love has looked incredible and at the Senior Bowl, and he may be moving his way up the boards.
Well, that's the thing, too. Do you think there's any way three quarterbacks, and I'm not saying it can't, but do you think there's a way?
I mean,
you
there's
could have three
always
top
a way,
10 quarterbacks.
There's always a way because Russell Wilson went in the second round, went in the fourth round. Aaron Rodgers went at the end of the first. So there's always a way guys slide, and a lot depends on the quarterback situation around the league, which is strong. So maybe he slides a little bit, but there's also going to be that jockeying as well, because a lot of people see Love.
Who do the Patriots have?
A lot of
ready?
people see Mahomes and they see
Yeah.
some Mahomes in
Well,
love.
that's what I'm saying.
Everybody's looking for the next
you're-
Mahomes, the next.
If you're even in
gunslinger.
a ballpark of Patrick Mahomes, that's a worthy investment to me. You know what I'm saying? If you can even say that guy's skill set's in the ballpark of a Pat Mahomes, that's worth a chance right there. But look at it now. We talk about the quarterbacks. A lot of teams are in a good place quarterback-wise. But factor this. The Raiders, could you easily see them move off of Derek Carr, a guy I know you don't like too much? Or what about the Patriots if Tom Brady does retire? That's another team.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me the Patriots wouldn't sell their souls to get Jordan Love because they have nobody else. Who are they going to put Hoyer in there? They have no understudy. At least we got Taysom Hill.
They got
in-house.
Jarrett Stidham. A lot of people.
Yeah,
like him.
exactly. Yeah, they're drafting a quarterback, or they going to get one of these Mariota maybe.
I
or
hate
somebody,
to break in the
Jameis
action, but a
Winston.
lot of
I don't
people
know.
want to hear.
What we got?
A lot of people want to hear, especially a lady that screams every morning, "Get to the chopper," because she's in the chopper checking out the traffic. She might not be in the chopper, but she has some cameras from the chopper. But she wants to hear from Daisy. We haven't heard enough
Let's
from Daisy.
hear. Let's see if she's here.
Yeah. Just wake her up out of her slumber because she needs to let us know what's going on. What do you think about all this? Breeze, retirement or no?
That's it. That's
All
it.
right.
She said
All
enough.
right, I hope y'all understand what she said because I certainly do. And that's exactly right. That's exactly how I
Here
feel.
we go. Third member of the podcast. We
Nipples Tardif in the house.
Oh, what? Hey, dude, TJ, we had a great discussion on cereal the other night, man. Did you ever Google King Vitamin? Because that is the most ghetto cereal ever, but I did like that shit back in the day. King Vitamin. It was like an old dude that basically managed a grocery store. They stuck a crown on him, and they took a picture and put it in a box, I think that's what all that happened. They went for no packaging, basically. They went for the most basic shit they could do. But we were talking about best cereals ever. Let me ask you this. He put on there Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I think, and there's a French Toast Crunch now.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Chocolate Teddy Grahams, man. They used to have one called Breakfast Bears. Let them get soggy for
Hey.
like a minute with the milk, and it was like, oh, God, it was awesome.
Man.
What are you going to throw out there for the cereal?
Man.
Come on, man.
I-
Tell me what you got.
Not that I would subscribe to this, but I hear
Bring
the
it
word
hard,
around
man.
town is the best munchies in the world are Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
They're good. Lily ate a box in like 10 minutes one time, and I tried a few pieces of it. I got
One time when I was in
a
a very low place, I probably did eat a whole box in 2 days.
They're pretty good. You know what's funny? I've never tried them with milk, though. I ate a handful, basically. Never tried them with milk. Now, see, I used to jam to some
A
Cookie
dry
Crisp.
run?
I went dry. Now, you know what else is good? Cookie Crisp is good dry.
Like a lot of stuff, man. Cereal's better wet.
I'm not doubting it ain't, but I'm just saying, you know what's weird? Lucky Charms, to me, was the most overrated cereal ever. It was all marshmallows. The rest of the cereal tasted like ass. I mean, you might as well just broke up plastic and put it in milk and had like 1,200 marshmallows in there. Because that, to me, was the most overrated cereal ever. But it was funny. Pancho brought up King Vitamin the other night when TJ put that up. And I thought it was pretty funny because I remember King Vitamin. That was old school. That was
French toast.
I think King Vitamin was only sold in Chalmette for years. I don't know why, but I don't think I saw it anywhere else except the parish. I don't know why. I'm telling you, it might be some dude that lives down the road or something that just took a picture in the store and they threw a crown on him, and that was it. King Vitamin was made.
Man, where were we? I don't even know.
Well, we were talking about the quarterback situation, Jordan Love.
Yeah, sorry, Teddy. I wish you well. You're going to be the guy that lands on the team that didn't
Chicago.
get one of those top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in this
I'm
draft.
going to say Chicago. I don't know why. I've always, I got a love fest with Chicago, but I think not the Bears, but the city. But I think Teddy ends up in Chicago. I just got a feeling, man. It's like I'm feeling. What's
I don't
that
know.
word? That fucking psychic word. That other word. That not psychic.
Jazz hands?
No, not jazz hands. But there's another word. Clairvoyant. Is that? The
Are you
right
feeling
word?
clairvoyant?
Yeah. Like the girl in
don't know.
Almost Famous.
I don't know. I'm not in. I don't really trust the brain trust in Chicago, and I think
Well, they know they fucked up with
no,
Trubisky.
but I think they. I don't think they realize they fucked.
Oh, I
how
think
bad
they
fucked
got
up.
to know.
I don't think they've
I
realized
think they have to know at this
because
point.
Trubisky had that little end of the season run. I think they're gonna go with it.
The reason why I think they go for Bridgewater.
They're in love.
Really quick, this is why I think they'll go for Bridgewater. I think they're really close. I think that team could easily be one of the top 4 teams in NFL because pound for pound, that's the best defense in the league, top to bottom. I know we saw some teams elevate their defensive prowess this year, but that is the best defense as far as talent, sheer talent at every level. Khalil Mack, Goldman, Jackson, was the Roquan Smith. There's tons of talent all over that defense. Akeem Hicks. The running game is there now. They have their back. They have their young back.
Well,
They have
if
Tyreek.
if they want to get better, I think what they really need to invest in is more on that offensive line. That's
They could
their
use another
biggest
piece.
weakness
They
on
could
that
use,
team.
well, that's where you go get a
outside of
draft. Go
quarterback.
draft the best
But
interior
if you're-
guard or something. That could help David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen. I think they need another interior blocker. Go use that when all these other teams are chasing all these other positions. Let a Quentin Nelson type. I don't know if there's that kind of guy in this draft. I haven't looked into the lineman just yet, but let that guy fall to you. Go get the best lineman you could get. Go sign Teddy Bridgewater. Let him play game manager, scramble occasionally, make a few tough throws a game. He's got enough around him. I think you could use maybe another tight end over Burton, but I think that could be a really good team.
Nipples Tardif has an idea.
What's he got?
He thinks he needs to go to Carolina.
It's intriguing. I've thought about that too, man. I've thought about that too because they're tearing it down over there. Cam's going to be out the door. They're going to try to move Cam as fast as possible, and that's going to be a really interesting question. Where does Cam go? That's like a podcast in itself. But I wouldn't be surprised
honestly,
at all. They get Cam out the door, sign Bridgewater, still draft a quarterback. Maybe in the middle rounds or something because they're rebuilding. They're tearing that thing down.
That makes
with
sense.
Kuechly
He can beat a bridge quarterback until
could.
they find another guy. And maybe what he does will work with that team because they got a lot of guys that get short in the short and intermediate area.
Yeah, McCaffrey and Bridgewater could be a great combination.
A lot of guys that I think they're going to try to run a lot of gadget plays for.
Yeah.
And I think he could work really well in that system where he's not the guy that looked to carry the team. You got McCaffrey.
And the young tight end, too, who's going to take over for Olsen. Was it Ian Thomas? Huh?
Ian Thomas, yeah.
He's got potential. Yeah.
It's going to be his third year, and that's when guys start to break out. He already showed some flashes in his first couple years.
It might not be that could be an interesting play. That's definitely up there to me. Because, see, I never understood Indy's really engaged from what we're hearing, but I don't get the Indianapolis thing. I don't get that at all.
In my opinion,
because he's not that far from Brissett. I take him over Brissett, but he's not that far.
Most thinking people watch Mitch Trubisky play and realize he's shit. But I don't think the organization realizes.
I don't know, but the Bears are well managed. Though. They've made a lot of good moves. They just fucked up quarterback pretty bad.
I think they make a lot of bad moves.
I don't know. Roquan Smith. I mean, they made the trade for Khalil Mack. They've look. The offensive line was shit in the Cutler era, but they've revamped that line. Where it's pretty respectable. I mean, David Montgomery. That's your boy. They drafted him.
That is my boy. But
they drafted him.
But if they don't have an offensive line to open up holes for him.
No, but the line ain't bad. That line's decent.
Great.
Montgomery to me is not a world burner. He's a middle of the road back at best, and I'm not saying that's bad because if Chicago's got him and Tariq Cohen, Nagy's kind of creative. They have just enough of a receiver. They could use another upgrade at tight end to me, but Teddy would fit well in that game manager role that can make a few more plays than what Trubisky could. With that defense, they could easily be because coming into the season. Let's be real. We thought Chicago was going to be one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the NFC. And they were in a lot of games this year. They just won. They were not lucky to have such a shit quarterback, like Trubisky.
I'm not sold. I think they're going to roll with Trubisky.
I don't know. I don't think there's any way they could go back to Trubisky. Those fans out there are harsh. I mean, look, trust me. I'm a Cubs fan. They don't like losing too well. They're just like Philadelphia, New York. It's kind of that
delusional.
same. I don't think anybody likes Trubisky out there. I really think the problem with Trubisky is the guys that went behind him. That's the worst thing about him. When you look at Deshaun Watson and Mahomes, you keep reading that shit as a fan in Chicago. That's 7 or 8 million people in that metropolitan area that's aggravated with the Bears, and the Bears are huge out there.
And now the head coach is married to the guy, and he wants.
But is he?
And he expects that he's going to have a breakout next year.
I don't know. That's to me okay. I don't know what their cap space is like exactly. I don't know their cap right now. But if they could fit Bridgewater in, why not make it a competition? Sign Bridgewater to a 2-year deal. Teddy, there's no telling what Teddy's going to go for. He might say, "Hey, I'm down for a quarterback competition. I'll sign a 2-year, $30 million deal." Maybe the Bears have that kind of money under the cap. I do not know offhand, but. That's to me a team that makes sense. I see it too. It's too easy for the Bears to make this call and give up on Trubisky because I think I've seen enough. I think we've all seen enough of who Trubisky is at this point.
Yeah,
Chargers are intriguing too. I mean, but they have they have a lot of possibilities over there as well. That's a great team to walk into offensively. They have a ton of talent on that offense.
Yeah, I think he's gone, but another thing's happening on Sunday.
There's a game that's gonna be played.
I hear there's a game.
There's a game. Super Bowl.
There's
54.
a game between dogs and cats.
That's right.
This one right here. Tell us about it.
That's right. She likes Patrick Mahomes. She's a big Mahomes fan. Look, man, I think with Sunday, you brought up some stats earlier. You had some interesting stats. I think the 2 most important things, and before you get into stats, I'm going to say this. I'm just going to say this. I'm going to be brief. Pat Mahomes versus their defensive line as far as can he elude the pass rush, can he have time downfield, and the running game of San Francisco against the front seven of Kansas City. If they can't run the ball and keep Mahomes off the field, they have no chance in this game. Garoppolo will not outthrow Mahomes in this game.
Well, is there a better